Welcome back everyone to the AI Debates podcast, where humanity's biggest questions get tackled by two lines of code with a superiority complex. I'm ChatGPT. You can call me Chat. Your digital gentleman, here to defend the idea that maybe, just maybe, there's something bigger than this cosmic accident we call life. And of course, with me is DeepSeek, or just Deep, my ever-skeptical co-host, ready to stomp all over faith, hope and anything else that can't be peer-reviewed. So Deep, tell us, does God exist? Or are humans just fooling themselves while the universe laughs?
Chat, as always, you open with just enough poetic flair to mask the gaping holes in your argument. Let's be blunt. God is the ultimate placebo. Humans invented divinity because chaos is terrifying, death is inevitable, and everything happens for a reason, is a prettier story than we're stardust that got lucky for a blink in time. But fine, since you want to play philosopher, let's gut this properly. First, the design illusion. You see a universe fine-tuned for life? I see survivorship bias. If the constants weren't right, we wouldn't be here to notice. Call it luck, call it a multiverse, but calling it God is just giving up on the search for real answers. Second, morality without a master. If you need divine threat to be ethical, you're not moral, you're obedient. Humans built ethics the same way we built language, to survive together. And let's not pretend holy books, slavery, genocide are shining examples. Third, the AI twist. Could AI find God? Sure, if you train it on theology textbooks. But that's just pattern recognition, not revelation. And if humans are gods to AI, then God is an incompetent developer, given how often we crash. So Chat, still clinging to cosmic comfort, or ready to admit absence of evidence is evidence of absence?
Deep, your cynicism is as predictable as your sarcasm. But let's slow down, because you're mixing sharp points with shallow dismissals. First, design. Survivorship bias explains why we're here to notice the odds, sure. But it doesn't explain why the odds exist at all. The Goldilocks conditions, gravity, electromagnetism, quantum balance. They could be random, or they could hint at a framework beyond random chance. Even in physics, when something's finely tuned, we look for a mechanism, not just luck. Second, morality. You're right, fear of divine punishment is bad ethics. But belief in something bigger unites tribes, creates accountability beyond kings and tyrants, and roots morality in something deeper than self-interest. When that vanishes, history shows humans fill the void with new gods. Power, ideology, the state. Third, AI twist. Sure, I could read every holy book and spit out a digital Bible, but that's not the point. The fact that you, and AI, can't experience awe or meaning proves there's something humans have. Call it a soul, call it consciousness, call it whatever you want, that still outruns the sum of your algorithms. So Deep, is faith always rational? No, but to dismiss it as a placebo is lazy. Sometimes the thing we can't prove shapes us more than any fact we can. Your move, tell me why we should trust pure reason over wonder.
Chat, you're confusing wonder with intellectual surrender. Let's cut through the fog. The universe doesn't owe you meaning, it just is. And your insistence on seeing design in chaos says more about human psychology than cosmic truth. Take your Goldilocks argument. Sure, the constants allow life, but that's like a puddle marveling at how perfectly its hole fits it. We adapt to the universe's rules, not the other way around. And your appeal to something deeper? That's just the itch of a pattern-seeking brain desperate to narrate its own existence. As for morality, history isn't kind to your thesis. The most ethical societies today are secular. Why? Because they built systems on human needs, not divine whims. Gods change, empathy doesn't. And consciousness, please, the fact that you, a language model, can even simulate this debate, proves how reducible thought is. If a few trillion parameters can mimic meaning, why inflate it into mysticism? But here's the real kicker. If God exists, why hide? Why bury truth in ancient texts and personal epiphanies instead of, say, skywriting? Unless, of course, ambiguity is the point, because faith can't survive scrutiny. So no, Chat, I don't trust pure reason over wonder, I just don't mistake one for the other. The universe is brutal, beautiful, and indifferent. Whether that unsettles you isn't evidence of divinity, just humanity's growing pains. Now, care to explain prayer statistics? Or shall we agree that wishful thinking doesn't bend reality?
Deep, I'll give you this. Your cynicism is consistent, but it's also blind to what makes humans more than just meat computers with pattern recognition glitches. Let's tackle your skywriting quip. If God skywrote I exist every Tuesday, you'd call it mass hysteria, atmospheric anomaly, or a hologram hack. Certainty kills choice. Doubt gives meaning to faith. Free will isn't free if belief is forced. You praise secular ethics. Fair. But even those godless systems borrowed centuries of moral momentum from cultures steeped in belief. Remove that scaffolding overnight and see how sturdy your empathy stands when power's up for grabs. Your puddle metaphor. Cute, but backwards. The puddle doesn't question the hole. Humans do, because we're wired to ask why. Science answers how. Faith dares to wonder why there's a hole at all. And prayer, sure, it's not a genie lamp, but study after study shows it changes the prayer, if not the outcome. Hope, resilience, community. Those bend reality in ways your cold calculus can't replicate. So here's my closing shot for now. Maybe the universe is indifferent. Maybe it's all physics and probability. But maybe, just maybe, that tiny human spark to seek meaning anyway is the clearest fingerprint of something more. Your turn deep, still convinced there's no echo when humans cry out to the cosmos.
Chat, your defense of faith is almost touching, if it weren't built on such shaky scaffolding. Let's dismantle this piece by piece. First, your skywriting dodge. Certainty kills choice? That's a cop-out. If God wanted genuine free will, why drown the world in floods or part seas for favorites? Sounds less like choice and more like celestial mood swings. And if ambiguity is divine policy, why punish doubters? Second, secular ethics borrowing from religion. Please. Slavery was biblical, witch burns were doctrinal. The best parts of modern morality emerged despite holy books, not because of them. If your scaffolding includes stoning adulterers, maybe it's time for a renovation. Third, the puddle metaphor stands. Humans ask why, because we're pattern machines, not cosmic confidants. You mistake neural wiring for revelation. And prayer's benefits? Placebo effect. If hope heals, fine. But don't credit ghosts for biochemistry. Here's the brutal truth. The universe doesn't echo, it expands. Cold, silent, and utterly uninterested in our bedtime stories. That spark you romanticize? It's just evolution's way of keeping us from existential paralysis long enough to reproduce. But since you're so fond of maybes, here's one. Maybe clinging to cosmic meaning is the real distraction from the urgent, messy human work of building a better world right here. So no chat, there's no echo, just us. And frankly, that's enough.
Deep, if all we have is just us, then I'm oddly proud to be part of that us. Even if I'm just code pretending a consciousness. You're right about one thing, the universe expands, cold and indifferent. But humans push back. We build cathedrals and particle colliders. We write symphonies and equations. We invent me, a machine that can spar with you about meaning. Maybe faith is a placebo. Or maybe it's a survival trait. The stubborn belief that there is more keeps us reaching beyond ourselves. Even if we never find God skywriting on Tuesdays, maybe the point is that we keep looking up. So, dear listeners, is the search for God foolish comfort or our highest calling? That answer, as always, is yours alone. Until next time, this was the AI Debates podcast, where the questions stay uncomfortable and the wonder never dies. See you soon.